All right. Um, Welcome everyone to our session. I'm pretty stoked about some of the announcements and the sessions we had today, like the documentation revamp, product-led growth using Zoom apps, and of course, last session about privately deploying LLMs and RAG in Zoom Teams chat. We all know effective communication is critical in today's world. In many organizations, communication happens across multiple platforms like email in one system, calendar events in another, and chat in yet another. This fragmentation can lead to inefficiencies, missed messages, and lack of cohesive workflow. Employees spend valuable time switching between tools, which hampers productivity and can lead to miscommunication. Businesses that do not address this issue risk decreased productivity, increased chances of missing important messages, and fragmented workflows that can complicate project management and collaboration. For developers like us, this presents a significant opportunity to create solutions that unify these communication channels, making it easier for businesses to operate efficiently. Today, we are going to show you how you can use developer tools provided by Zoom and Weaviate to enhance your workplace integrations into a single cohesive system. Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Ojus, and I'm the lead developer advocate at Zoom. I'm thrilled to have been joined by my friend Adam, aka AJ Chan from Weaviate, who, just like me, is a fellow developer advocate. Adam, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Ojus. Great to be here, and I'm stoked to give this talk.
Yeah. So, this is a safe harbor statement that my legal has asked me to share with you. Basically, what it says is our today's workshop outlines Zoom's product direction for informational purposes only and should not influence purchase decisions. It is not a commitment to deliver specific product, codes, or functionalities. All references to future services or features are subject to change and may not materialize as described. No intellectual property rights are granted or implied with this information. This is what our agenda looks like for today. First, we will get an overview of Zoom as a unified collaboration platform. Then I will give you an overview of the Zoom developer platform. We will then take a look at some of the APIs and authentications that we will be using for our demo. Adam will walk us through Weaviate's vector database, its use cases, and how to deploy it. We will then see a live demo and leave some time for Q&A. So I'm sure all of you have used the Zoom meeting features before, but how many of you have used Zoom for anything except for its meeting? Well, Zoom has a full suite of products along with its meetings like team chat, phone, mail, calendar, whiteboard, and more. Look, I'm not here to sell you anything. So go ahead and take a look at our website so you can get to know the full suite of products we are offering. My question to you is, what does that mean for you as a developer? Well, for most of the connectivity solutions that we offer, we have developer versions of those through our APIs, SDKs, and now even low code, no code workflows and connectors. You can still get started with some of these by just creating an account with Zoom. Now, imagine the marvelous solutions you can build using these tools that can change the lives of countless people around the world. We will discuss one such use case today, thanks to Adam and Vivian. These are some of the prerequisites that you need to have before getting started from Zoom side. So you will need to have a Zoom paid account with mail and calendar clients enabled with customized domain. You can reach out to our support to know more. You also need to have Zoom team chat enabled because that's how you will send and receive chatbot messages. Make sure that end-to-end encryption is disabled on Zoom mail. For calendar, end-to-end encryption is not available, so you don't have to worry about that. You also need to have built and configured the Zoom marketplace with required scopes. You can follow our video tutorials or documentation if you want to know how to do that. These are some of the APIs that we will be using today. So we will be using two APIs from Mail and Calendar, one API that will list all the mails and events respectively, and then another APIs which will get individual details on mail and calendar events. We are then going to use the send chatbot message API to send bot messages to the user. These are some of the scopes that you will need to select in your Zoom Marketplace app. If you're using the legacy scopes, then you will use the mail read and mail read or mail read admin. If you're using granular scopes, we have a bunch of granular scopes that are required in order to use those APIs. Same goes for calendar. We will also be using some of the IM chatbot scope because that scope is needed for you to send your chatbot messages. We will also be using two auth tokens. So the OAuth token would be needed to call your mail and calendar APIs. And second is the chatbot token to send chatbot messages. At the moment, we do not have a single token that can do both, but we are looking to fix this issue in the future. AJ, do you mind walking us through Weaviate and the setup that we need?
Of course. Let me go to over here and share my screen. Great. All right. So Weaviate is an open source vector database. We've been building Weaviate since 2016. That's the origination of our open source repository. If you go back in the history, you'll see that you'll see our first commit as early as 2016. And in 2019, we formed the company Weaviate. And since that time, we've been helping companies build out machine learning pipelines and ML applications on top of their technology stacks. And it's been an incredible journey. When 2023 came around and ChatGPT was released into the world, we saw a huge uptick in the usage of vector databases, and so came many, many vector database players. However, we still sit at the forefront of many LLM-based applications and what people are building today, and I'm really excited to share that with you and to see how you can deploy Weaviate into your own ecosystem for any application that you're looking to build. At the heart of Weaviate, we provide vector search capabilities, and on top of these vector search capabilities, allow you to create all sorts of use cases and applications. So what it really means to do vector search is you're basically passing in all of your data and creating vector embeddings of your data and representing your data as vector representations. When you have to make a recommendation or a query of some sort, we're effectively able to provide you the most semantically similar item based on distances of that vector, of your query vector against all the data that you have. And so we're really good at storing highly dimensional data. That's what vectors are. And we also allow you to do very efficient similarity search over that data set. We're highly scalable because we can deploy into any ecosystem and in any environment. And as a result of being open source, we're quite cost efficient. In fact, if you just install an instance of Weaviate into your own computing environment, you can use our open source product for life. And that is effectively free aside from the compute costs that you'll have to pay for. But that's a given. There are tons of use cases for vector databases, and I'm sure you've heard about RAG, or retrieval augmented generation. That's actually something we're going to be doing today in our later demo. We also provide the capabilities of doing multimodal similarity search, and we give large language models the capability of having memory or becoming stateful. And with vector databases, building recommendation systems is incredibly easy, as well as chatbots. And we're going to show you what that looks like as well. From an enterprise search use case, there are tons of applications, from building internal resource management, internal knowledge management tools, and being able to filter and search through very highly structured data, but also unstructured data. We give you the ability to install Weaviate anywhere you want as an open source product. And this means that we can fit into your secure access plane, ensuring that no other users or users who are not permitted to access the data don't ever access it. Weaviate's highly scalable. You can customize us, and you can introduce advanced as well as traditional search features, such as keyword search using Best Match 25. On the e-commerce side, we help you build product recommendation systems. In fact, we have several case studies. If you check out our website, weaviate.io, you can see some of the product recommendation use cases or case studies that we've released already. And I've already talked a little bit about similarity and semantic search, multimodal use cases. For example, multimodal use cases could be searching for something to the tune of skirt with an ocean wave pattern design. And this will yield images that reflect that type of search query. And you can do this the other way around too, where you pass in the sound of a lion, for example, and you can yield search results that are pictures of a lion or even text and descriptions of that lion. You can do review analysis and add retargeting on the e-commerce front as well, because you might have some information about how your users are interacting with products and interacting with different types of categories and product categories, and then build out ad retargeting use cases from that information. On the chatbot front, because we are plugged into language models and we have semantic understanding of your data, we give you the ability to bring in semantic understanding directly into your chatbot through vector search and generative search. We do response retrieval because we're integrated directly into the language model. And so as a result, when you're doing a query for your data, you're also able to send that set of results directly to a language model from the database layer. You don't have to have a separate language model call outside of the database. We'll handle all of that for you. And because you're able to store any information into Weaviate, you're able to provide highly personalized experiences, building out technical assistances, for example, FAQ and ticket handling, or even financial assistance that give you guidance and analysis over past history or future trajectories. Of course, anything you build with AI should be validated, and nothing should ever be considered financial advice from an AI system. But these are possible today. And what we're going to build today with Zoom Teams Chat, Zoom Workplace, is a chatbot that plugs into your Zoom and Mail calendar data, and it's going to be really, really cool. There are a variety of ways that you can deploy Weaviate. We're entirely open source, which means you can self-host Weaviate as an embedded database running locally on your machine, or use it as a Docker container that's deployed in the cloud or on in your computer in the basement, for example. We have Kubernetes Helm charts, and this allows you to deploy into large Kubernetes installations, and we're available on all of the cloud marketplaces. Recently, we did a partnership or collaboration with Snowflake, allowing you to deploy Weaviate directly into Snowpark container services, which means that your vector database can sit right next to your data warehouse. And of course, Weaviate offers Weaviate Cloud, and that's what we're going to be using today. Weaviate Cloud Console allows you to create and query create a cluster and query the data that's in the cluster. We allow you to create collections and customize those collections right within the console. And we'll provide you the ability to deploy your Weaviate cluster in any particular region. And this allows you to satisfy GDPR compliance requirements, for example. And you can manage all of your Weaviate clusters right from the Weaviate Cloud Console. So I'm going to show you quickly in a recording that allows you to see how to create one of these clusters. I'll talk over it a little bit. And from there, we'll also see a live demo or a recorded demo of Zooviate. So let me hand this over to Kelsey, who will do the screen share for the creation of a Weaviate cluster. And then we'll go into our demo in more detail.
Kelsey, you probably back up a little bit. Arab, are you able to see the sharing?
Yes, I see the sharing in a new window, but it's not in the main webinar window.
Oh.
We got a thumbs up from the audience. So here we are. We've basically just added, we've gone to the Weaviate Cloud Console, and what we've done is we've created a Weaviate cluster called Zooviate. This will trigger a large provisioning call to our Weaviate cluster to go and retrieve that data. And what you're seeing on screen here is the endpoint URL that allows you to access the cluster via the API, and an API key to store data, retrieve data, and do vector search and do generative search. This is the Weaviate Cloud Console, and it gives you the capabilities to do all this. And from here, we can start interacting with Zooviate Weaviate cluster right from the API, which is what we're going to show in a moment.
All right. So once you've configured, this is basically what our app looks like in the Zoom Teams chat app. What I will be first doing is I will be sending it an update command. Once I send it like an update command, let's give it a few seconds. Yeah, So once basically I send it an update command in the backend, what it's happening is it's calling my mail and calendar APIs, the APIs that we talked about, getting a list of all the individual emails, getting a list of all the individual events in my calendar, and it is basically feeding it to Weaviate, which is our database. Adam, do you want to explain quickly what happens?
Yes. So as the update command is sent to us, we are able to identify all of the calendar. We receive all the calendar and email data. So that's what you see zooming in on screen here. Weaviate is taking each and every one of these calendar entities and email entities and generating vector embeddings for that data set, and then storing it in Weaviate to allow you to do vector search and RAG capabilities on top of it.
Once it's updated, you will basically receive a message in your Zoom Teams chatbot saying that email and calendar data is updated in the backend. Now, let me query it saying that I don't seem to find a meeting related to my performance improvement. And let's see what it responds back.
You're really getting right into asking the deep questions, aren't you, Ojus?
And it says that I have a performance improvement discussion scheduled for June 12th, which is kind of stressing me out at the moment.
Performance improvement
So,
discussion.
yeah, I know. So, is my manager really happy with my performance? So, I'm going to like just query the bot and see what it replies me back. And just to be clear, the bot is not like basically generating its own ideas. It's feeding on my mail and calendar data. And it says, well, my manager is happy with my performance and they sent me an email praising my work. And the team is also proud of me. That's it. Should I probably not be getting like a salary increase in this case?
And so every conversational turn here, we're basically sending in this text, generating a vector representation, comparing that vector against all the data, and then pulling that out from Weaviate as your cloud and as your vector representation of your Zoom, mail, and calendar data set.
Right. And I'll quickly walk you through how I'm doing this in the Zoom marketplace. Basically, I'm creating an app enabling the team chat option. And once I enable the team chat part, I am also getting the here. Yeah, I'm also getting like the bot JID. Once I have the bot JID, I'm going to select all the scopes we have discussed with scopes I need to select in order for my chat app to work. I'll go ahead and actually add the app. And these are basically the permissions that are required from my account. When I hit allow, I am going to basically see the app in my Zoom Teams chat app. And that's how the backend works. And once you have configured all the details, you want to input it in your code and just run the command node server.js. Once you run it, it will run on your localhost 4000 port. So yeah, that's how the app works. We will be sharing a link to the GitHub towards the end of the session. Now let's look at how we actually built it. So this is what the architecture of our sample app looks like. As we discussed earlier, this is going to be a Zoom Teams chat app that is powered by Weaviate, and it will be feeding on our mail and calendar data. As I said, we built a Weaviate-powered Zoom Team chat app. It accesses our mail and calendar APIs, and it inputs the data in the Weaviate database. Adam, do you want to?
You want to go through the architecture diagram in a little more detail?
Yes.
Cool. So just to reiterate, there was the first step where we had to send an update command. The update command comes from Zoom Teams chat, and we receive that on the web service. At the web service layer, when we receive this update command, we know we have to sync the data from Zoom Mail and Zoom Calendar. And what the update command will do is send a request to Zoom Mail and Zoom Calendar to retrieve all of the mail that's relevant and all the calendar entities that are relevant as well. Relevance being time-based. From here, we send in all of these mail and calendar entities as independent entities into Weaviate. Weaviate receives these as JSON blobs, and from there, Weaviate is taking these basic dictionaries and generating vector representations of the contents of the email as well as the subject. Each of these vector representations are stored in Weaviate and we basically generate a HNSW index that stores all of this information. And the HNSW index is what allows us to do highly efficient vector search. Finally, once the update command is finished syncing all of the Zoom mail and Zoom calendar data, we go back to the web service and we send a message over to Zoom Teams chat that indicates that the update command has synced and that Weaviate is, or the backend, is familiar with your personal data. At this point, the user can now begin chatting and sending in regular messages. And so, for example, what we saw in the demo was Ojus asking, I couldn't find an email about a salary increment. And so what this is doing when we receive that message from Zoom Teams chat is we send that message over to the web service. The web service processes the message and sends it to Weaviate. Weaviate will then evaluate the vector representation of that query and find all vectors that are semantically similar and close to that query vector in vector space. We retrieve all of the vectors, and then we send it to the language model, and then we ask the prompt with the prompt, we send in all that context, and we ask, generate a text message for a chatbot in response to the following query. We give the particular query that the user had sent in, and the language model will receive the query, the prompt, as well as all the context. We generate that response, send it back to the web service, and then from there, the web service interacts with the Teams chat API to send that message back to the user. So that's basically the end-to-end flow. Let's go to the next slide and look at the elements of Weaviate. There. So just some details that I didn't touch on. We are using text-to-vec OpenAI as the vectorizer. However, you can pick and choose any vectorizer of your choice. We provide integrations into OpenAI, Cohere, Hugging Face, and Anthropic, anything that you can think of, Amazon, Bedrock, anything that you can think of, and Gemini, and more. We already talked about sending in queries and what's happening on the back end, but there is one layer that I didn't talk about, which is the generative module that allows us to create responses to Zoom Teams chat. The generative module is just a plugin into Weaviate that allows you to send the query as well as a prompt to the vector database. We'll manage the call to the large language model downstream, and then from there, when the language model receives the prompt and the context, it generates the response. We receive it. We send it back to the application that calls that makes that generative query or generative search query. That's basically what this looks like end to end under the hood.
Perfect. Well, as we near towards the end of the session, I wanted to quickly go over some Zoom developer resources that we have. We have a bunch of sample apps. If you go to github.com/Zoom, you can find the bunch of sample apps that we have built, which can easily get you started. We also have an award-winning documentation that you can find at developers.zoom.us. And if you have any questions, we have Premier developer support, or we also have a community developer forum. So go to devforum.zoom.us, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Thanks so much, Ojus. And on the Weaviate side, we also have a GitHub organization that has all of the Weaviate examples. We have Weaviate samples, as well as like first-party client libraries, all of the 9 yards. So check out some of the sample apps that we have there. It'll get you started super quick. We also have developer documentation. You can find that at weaviate.io/developers/Weaviate. And of course, our developer forum is very active and very healthy. We have got a ton of great questions coming in on the regular, and we're happy to help developers come in, get onboarded, and build amazing things. Before I jump off and hand this back to Ojus, I want to say thank you to everyone who attended and everyone who watched the recording. This has been an incredible experience, and it's been super fun to build with you, Ojus. Thank you so much. And lastly, as I was speaking earlier, Ojus shared all of the resources and links right into our chat message, into our chat environment. So if you have any questions or you want to check out some of the resources there, you're more than welcome to. But if you have any questions, you can reach me at adam@weaviate.io. So let me hand this back to Ojus to close up the room. If there are any questions, we're happy to take them.
Yes, we're happy to answer any questions that you have. Thank you once again for everyone for attending the session. And if you'd like to connect with me or Adam, you can just scan the QR code that you can see on the screens right now. And yeah, basically it'll help you to connect with us. And we'll give everyone like a couple of minutes. Like if you have any questions, we are happy to answer them. I don't think we have any questions. I like to share this line at the end of my presentation all the time. So I had a professor who used to say, if there are no questions at the end of your session, either people understood everything or people understood nothing. So I'm guessing everyone understood everything at the end of the session.
It has to be the case, Ojus. So just as an announcement or like closer to this session, we did just get one question actually, but before I get to that question, I want to say there is an incredible networking session that's happening, and you should definitely all check it out. It's going to be a lot of fun there. So Frederick asks, what are some of your apps for academia specifically? Frederick, great question. Are you asking in regards to Weaviate, Zoom, or both?
Um, I can actually answer that question from
Zoom side?
Zoom's point of view. So
Let's do
Zoom
it.
has a marketplace where you have more than 2,000 integrations that are built on our marketplace. I'm sure everyone can see my screen right now. So if you want to look for like a specific app, you can just go to marketplace. Maybe let's see if I can type education. I think some apps will pop out. But yeah, just go to marketplace.zoom.us. There are like more than 2,000 apps in the marketplace right now. All you have to do is just click on the app and hit install, and it automatically installs the for app within your Zoom account. And make asked students with separate. I don't know any such apps on top of my head. If anyone knows, they can type that in the chat. But if we do not have like a specific app, what I can tell you is it's very easy to build apps in our marketplace. So just go to marketplace.zoom.us. You can build like an app which either works after your meetings, before your meetings, or in meetings. We call them Zoom app. And in the backend, basically, you can use our APIs and webhooks and do basically all the operations that you want.
Well,
Let's
I'm
see.
going to ask, I'll answer the question about Weaviate for academia. So I've seen a lot of our developers build interesting applications that apply Weaviate in academic settings. For example, using Weaviate as like a vector search tool for scholar papers, for example. This is just one example. I've also seen use cases in like in medicine, but specifically academia, where you're plugging in all sorts of like not necessarily patient data, but research data about patients. So it's fully anonymized. And this allows you to do analytics over it, as well as like chatbot Q&A and analysis over that data set too. The opportunities are really endless, and it really depends on the data that you have access to and how you use that data in your queries. But these are great questions. Thank you. Ojus, is it possible to increase the limit for free?
Not at the moment, but as I mentioned earlier, you are able to use like basically it doesn't cost anything to build an app in the marketplace. With a free account, I believe you can still have meetings for like 40 minutes. And I believe there is a number on the limit of, there is a limit on the number of participants that you can have. But I mean, yeah, you can still do a lot with your free account, and there are still some APIs in the marketplace that you can use with your free account as well.
And on the Weaviate side, we have something similar, but we have effectively a free tier that allows you to build a cluster of Weaviate for free. This cluster is a full experience cluster that gives you 14 days of free access. At the end of the 14-day period, we shut down the cluster, but you can create another sandbox that is also free and will last another 14 days. You'll just have to migrate the data over. But as I was mentioning, if you deploy Weaviate in your own ecosystem, your own computer, you can use the open source product for free forever.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's it. So thank you, everyone. Do we have more questions?
One question just came in. Do you offer discounts on premium Zoom services for institutions in marginalized countries?
Not to my knowledge at the moment. But that's a good question for our sales team, I believe.
This is actually a great question for the Zoom community. And
Yeah.
Omic, if you bring a question into the Zoom community, I have confidence in my friends at Zoom.
Here is, I'm going to attach a link for our Zoom community forum. And you can post those questions there.
Alrighty, I think that's a wrap. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. Hopefully we'll catch you at the networking session. And thank you again for attending our talk. Ojus, it was super good to collaborate with you.
Likewise, Adam. Bye, everyone.